We've got coming up for you, it's the Cubs and the Cardinals coming your way on Channel 9 WGN.
If you thought it was crazy then, you should have seen what happened when Bill Murray came into the booth.
I was baptized Cub fan.
There's a couple of your fans waiting for some baseballs.
I saw these kids when I came in, and they were looking at my car at the hubcaps. I don't think they're here to play baseball at all. I think this is a... have we got a phone here? Can we get somebody at the Halstead Street lockup to get these kids? Look at them. They're trying to steal the nuts out of the... Get out of that tree! Hey! Trying to steal the nuts, the buds out of the tree, so that tree would never grow. I think that's sick. Well, my mother has finally arrived at the ballpark, and there's liquor on her breath once again. Now, what's the story? What took you so long to get here?
Well, we've been down there. You just couldn't see us. We were below you, and there was some mix-up on the tickets, and that's what happened.
Well, the guys from Joliet, the penal institution of Joliet managed to make themselves known. Where have you been for 7.5 innings? Look at this. Look at this, Mom. This is the kind of stuff you've been missing all day long. Look at this. There's Bull going to his right. There's no chance. Miraculously, he pulls it out. This is the kind of excitement that's been going on here all day while you were in the drunk tank over on Halstead Street.
Finally, things got normal in the broadcast booth.
And whereas it just wouldn't be right for the Cubs to win the pennant without Harry Caray here, and we're going to have both this year, I therefore proclaim today, May 19th, Harry Caray Day in Illinois. Tell them what you think of it.
Thank you, Mr. Governor. Thank you very much. Let's play ball.
The first half certainly had some lows.
1 and 2. The game's over. The Mets win. Bill Ullman singles to center. The loser is Lee Smith.
But the first half was also loaded with some highs.
The pitch. There's a drive. Way back. It might be. It could be. Cubs win. Cubs win. Cubs win.
Harry and I, along with Rick Sutcliffe and Gene Michael, are going to take you all through the first half, from Jamie Moyer's near no-hitter to Andre Dawson's beaning. So stay with us as the Cubs try to spring to the top.
Spring to the Top, brought to you in part by your Chicagoland Buick dealers. Pepsi, the choice of a new generation. Six Flags Great America. Chicago Toyota.
Has had one of the best first halves in the history of the Chicago Cubs. He's got 24 homers, 74 RBI. Project that over a full season. Whoa! Oh, hit by a pitch ball. Hasn't moved. Now they're going after his Rick Sutcliffe hitting Chow. And players from both teams break out on the field. He's on his feet. Now he's looking for Chow. He's looking for Chow. Where is... Whoa! Look at this. Look at Chow. They're trying to keep him away. He's retreating.
He better retreat into the dugout. Look at Andre.
Look at this. Andre's going into the dugout after him.
Andre Dawson certainly is a man that you want to go to war for. And Rick, just what does Andre Dawson mean to you?
Stevie, I think that to begin with, over the winter, we had two major problems that really stood out in my mind. Number one and foremost was the pitching had to improve, and number two was I felt the outfield defense had to get better. And by us acquiring Andre Dawson, we really answered both of those questions. We didn't have to change a thing in the pitching staff. We didn't have to change the way we pitched. All of a sudden, we had a guy out there that could go get the ball. He could keep people from taking that extra base, and he's had a lot of assists. He's thrown a lot of people out that have tried to advance on him.
There's a base hit to right field. Dawson is going to get him at first. A terrific play.
In 1984, you had a lot of strikeouts. Then you went through the 2 years where the strikeouts were down. And this year, again, the strikeouts are back up. You struck out 10 San Francisco Giants, Rick, and you're striking them out now a lot of times without the fastball. You're using a lot of breaking pitches. And was that by design or necessity?
More so necessity, Steve. I think you can relate to that with me. In the latter part of your career, your fastball tends to lose a little bit, but you get a little bit smarter with it, too. The forkball has helped, but I think in the early part, the forkball got me in a lot of trouble as far as getting behind, throwing it in situations where I probably should have challenged people, and because of it, my walk ratio has been up a little bit, but I think it's going to get better here in the second half, and I know I'm going to start striking out more people.
One of the youngsters that certainly has helped you, and he's helped the whole ball club this year, has been David Martinez. And Rick, you've seen him come of age before your very eyes. Now, in spring training, did you think that Martinez could be the ball player that he is today?
Well, I really didn't know. I hope so because I knew what a great kid he was. Defensively, there was never a question. His arm is second to maybe only Andre's as far as strength and his accuracy. But, you know, he had great springs hitting the ball, but he never could hit when he got here. He had great winter balls. He was MVP or something over the winter in a good competitive league, but he hadn't shown us that he could hit here. He got off to a slow start, and to be real honest with you, I thought we were headed for more of the same, but somehow he tightened his belt up another notch. He gained confidence in himself, and right now he looks like he's been out there forever.
Here we go with Dave Martinez. There it goes! Way back! It might be! It could be! It is! Dave Martinez, his third home run of the year.
We have a couple of guys here who have gone through a whole lot already, and they're very young men. One of them, Greg Maddux. And what do you think about Greg so far?
Well, Steve, I think their personalities really say a lot about the type of people they are. That's when I knew we didn't have a whole lot to worry about. You've always got health. You never know how long a young arm's going to stay healthy, but these guys haven't let anything affect them. Moyer's been tremendous. We knew he could pitch last year, and he's taken off from where he left off and got off to a great start. He could have 10 or 12 wins right now with a little bit of luck and a few runs here and there.
2-2 pitch. Struck him out on a change, and through 8, he's got a no-hitter. At the end of 8, the Cubs 5, the Phils nothing.
Maddux is the one I think that's really been the sleeper. He got off to a slow start. We didn't support him very well. He himself could have turned his record around with a little bit more support on given days, but he hadn't let it bother him. He went out and threw a 1-0 ball game. It'd give us all a shot in the arm, and hopefully the boost that we're going to need to go out and have a good second half.
We're in the 9th. 3-1 the count. There's a draw way back. It might be. It could be. It is a home run. He hit a 3-1 fastball. And the Cubs lead 1-0. Big pitch coming up. There, the Cubs win it. The Cubs win it. Dayed in left field, replacing Mumphrey, catches a line drive while Winningham's that. And the first complete game of the year for Greg Maddux, a 4-hit shutout. He wins it 1-0. And oh boy, what a happy 22-year-old kid he must be.
A new addition to the ball club, Les Lancaster, had some problems yesterday, but over the long haul, it looks like he's going to be a pretty good pitcher.
He's got all the tools, Stevie. I think he's got one of the best fastballs, if not the best fastball on our staff, with the exception, of course, Lee Smith. It's got good pop. It's a sneaky type of fastball. He's got all the pitches. He's got a good curveball, a good hard slider, and a changeup from time to time that he has some success with. But, you know, he's one of those guys that's just got to get his feet on the ground. I think the umpires have kind of tested him a little bit early with his box. He's a little quick to the plate at times, but I know a lot of veteran pitchers that get away with the same move, Stevie. It's one of those things where he's just got to get comfortable out there. He's got to start believing in himself a little bit more, and I think he's going to be here to stay.
Rick, starting pitchers don't usually complete a lot of games in this day and age, and so you have to depend on your bullpen. And let's talk a little bit about Lee Smith to start off, because here's a man who has failed to save a few of your games. You might have a few more wins, but in the long haul, over the last few years, Lee Smith has got to be a pitcher's best friend.
Well, the one frustration that I've had all year is that I take a lot of pride in completing what I start, and I haven't had to complete games that I'd like to have, but Lee Smith's a big part of that reason. In my mind, he's the best in baseball, Steve, and going into the first half of this season, I thought we had a mediocre pitching staff at best, with the exception of him. He made us all look better. He continues to come in and get people out of jams, and, you know, because of that, I think all of our complete games are going to be down, but I think as a team, our winning percentage is going to be up because of it.
There's one gentleman, and that's Jamie Moyer, who you alluded to before when you were talking about Greg Maddux. But when you look at this guy and realize that he can throw 3 straight changes to the same hitter, you have to believe that that straight change is one of the best in baseball.
I certainly do, Steve, and the reason I know it to be is they had us bunt off of Jamie in spring training this year, and he continued to work on all of his pitches even while we were bunting on him, and not one of us was able to bunt that changeup fair. I mean, it couldn't break this monitor. He doesn't throw it hard, but the ball has great movement on it. He's got a great idea with it. He's learned to use the inner half of the plate, as you well know, and his breaking ball seems to be getting better and better too. He's throwing a slider now to some of the left-handers, and to me, Steve, he's just become a complete pitcher.
Rick, they say the double play is a pitcher's best friend, and all spring training, this club worked out with Sean Dunston at shortstop, Ryne Sandberg at second, and then in a blink of an eye, Ryne Sandberg was gone and Sean Dunston was gone. Now you're working with Mike Brumley, you're working with Paul Noce. You notice any fall off, or do you think that these guys can play at the major league level?
Well, you're obviously going to see a fall off. Sean Dunston has got range second to nobody. Ozzie Smith may be the best, but he doesn't get to any more balls than Sean does. And Ryne Sandberg, there's really nothing I can say that hadn't already been said about him. I think if you try to find a positive in the negative of the whole thing, though, you're going to find Paul Noce. And he had a tremendous spring for us. We knew he deserved to be on the ball club when we broke, but we just didn't have room for him. He's here to stay. He's proven that he's a major league ball player. He's hitting 300 right now, and you know, I don't know where he's going to play, but somebody's going to have to find a spot for him because he's proven he belongs there.
2 runs batted in this game. He sends this one high and deep to left. Guerrero back and goodbye. Home run for Paul Noce, a 3-run home run.
Coming up, Harry, Gene Michael, Andre Dawson highlights, a talk with Whitey Herzog, and more as the Cubs try to spring to the top.
This ball, and there's a long one into left field, and this ball is at the wall and gone for a grand slam. Dawson hit the first pitch from Worrell, a fastball for a grand slam, making it 5-3 Chicago. Holy cow, Harry.
Gene, he just has had a heck of a first half of the season, Dawson, huh?
He's been outstanding for us. He's just done everything there is, Harry. He's run the ball down. He's thrown the ball well. He's been a great influence in the clubhouse. Everyone knows what he's done with the bat.
Ground ball, the Cubs win. Cubs win. Cubs win. Andre Dawson singled to left, and that wins the ball game. The Cubs have beaten the Atlanta Braves 3-2. You really don't know a player until he's on your team. When you see him during the course of the season, he's with the opposition. You might have a different impression of him than you do when he's a member of your team.
True. You don't know how good a player is when he's on another club because you don't get to see him every day. Once you see him every day and you see the things he can do, you can appreciate a player much better, especially when he's doing all the positive things like Andre Dawson is.
I want to talk a little bit about a kid in center field, David Martinez. I'm just wondering whether you stuck with him because of his great defense early in the season, or did you have the gut feeling that he's a good hitter?
Well, I didn't know if he was going to ever hit, Harry. I didn't know that he was going to be this good a hitter. I had heard that he could swing the bat, and they told me this and that he could do this, and he could steal bases. He hasn't stolen bases like he can, or like he will later. But I didn't know how much he was going to hit because I hadn't seen any of his success yet. Last year in September, he still didn't do it after we had him up earlier in the year. This year in the spring, he barely made the ball club, so to speak. When he got here and he struggled a little bit early, and we stayed with him enough, finally he found himself, he got a few hits, and then he just kept climbing, and he's been a good player for us.
How about Palmero? Rafael, everybody figured he'd be a member of the team. He'd probably play every day, and Lord and behold, spring training is over, and he's in the minor league. Now here he is back again and looking like a player he looked like last fall.
We think he's going to be able to swing the bat. He's real loose at the plate. He's a natural hitter when he's swinging the bat right. In the spring, he got untracked, and he lost his confidence a little bit. I don't think he thought he wasn't going to make the team. I think all the time down there, he thought he was going to make the ball club. And it didn't matter what he did, but he didn't play well. We were afraid to take him north. And after he got to go in the minor leagues, we called him up, and he swung the bat. He's done a good job for him. And we'll get his at-bats for him. I'm going to give him some more at-bats. He gets some today, and he can hit left-handers too, Harry. That's another thing I like about him.
I want to get back to the injuries around short and second again. Dunston and Sandberg. You being an infielder during your playing days, Have you ever seen one half of the infield or the Keystone combination where both men are out with severe injuries?
Not usually. You know, it's tough losing those two players because they're two of our good players. We know that. But, you know, other ball clubs lose different things at different times. I'd like to see St. Louis maybe lose their infield for a while. I don't wish people bad luck, you know, injury-wise, but I'd like to see them lose their middle infield. If they lose a guy like Ozzie Smith, they're in big trouble. But, you know, I know we've done this and we've lost this, but we have to go ahead and play the game. And these kids have done a nice job. I want to get the other guys picking it up. That's where I want to go.
One final question. Let's say the Sandberg is back in action before Dunston. How do you expect to resolve the fine play of Noche and Brumley while they've been gone?
They've both done a nice job, and I'll do that when I come to that. I'll skirt that issue right now. But I don't want to put any pressure on anybody, but I think that both of them have done a nice job. And they both now know that they can play in the big leagues. And that's a big plus for the Chicago Cubs organization. To have two more people know that they can play in the big leagues, they'll come up and they're not scared anymore. I like that.
We've had ups and downs, a lot of them, more than our share all year long. But the fans, God bless them, they are marvelous here at Wrigley Field.
Thank the good Lord for Dawson, and I hope he'll be back soon. If you don't mind if I keep score while I'm talking.
Dayette didn't play badly yesterday in right field. I like the young guys. I think Noche has done a great job on second. I think Brumley's fit in well at short. They're going to lose their spots, you know. The minute those guys come back, as soon as Sandberg's well again, he's losing his spot.
We're going to go all the way. We got to have the confidence in him. We're going to do it. Our hearts are behind it. Put your money down on the Cubs. We're going to do it.
I'm a Cub fan since I can remember, and I think he'll do all right. We just have to get everybody back in and playing that's healthy.
Still think they have a chance to spring up to the top?
Why not?
It's been hit by a button. The saves, but nobody beats these guys for real savings.
The whole key to your ball club will be is your starting pitching. And if they all stay healthy and Rick's pitching good again, you get Trout back, I see no reason why the Cubs can't be in the race all the way to the end.
Dallas Green agrees with Whitey. Pitching is the key. And in that vein, the Cubs went for youth Sunday when they traded veteran Steve Trout to the Yankees. Although pitching 2 consecutive shutouts, Trout has been inconsistent for the past several years. In return, the Yankees sent the Cubs some of their best young pitching talent. 26-year-old Bob Tewksbury, 22-year-old lefty Rich Scheid, and 21-year-old Dean Wilkins are now wearing Cub blue. Certainly, Dallas Green has not given up on the Cubs' pennant chances. They're going to make their pennant drive with youth.
Well, as you heard from Whitey Herzog, he is not conceding this thing to the St. Louis Cardinals. And, Harry, you think the Cubs can catch the Cardinals?
I definitely do. After listening to Gene Michael, you know, the big thing we got to remember, the Cubs have played well, and the middle of batting order, well-known hitters have not produced in the same classification that they're known to produce in. If the 3 men in the middle of the batting order will just hit their norm, I think the Cubs are going to have a tremendous second half.
And so do I, Harry. And stay with us, because we'll see if the Cubs can try to spring to the top.